Hi guys, this is TPOTX here, the proud winner of LVP Union's Reconnected 2025's LVP1 category. By default. So I'm gonna go through some behind the scenes and dev secrets of my entry and upload to remember. Believe it or not, the idea of being a computer wasn't the first idea. It was the second. The original idea would have been based on Reconnected to Steam, which is about getting the servers back. The story was that a hacker traveled back in time and stolen the source code for Patchwork, which is the plugin that Beacon requires, and the player would have to get back to save LVP. That would require a later LVP game. And I suck at making a technologically advanced level, so I had to dial back the ambition. I still wanted to create a twist to the theme, so instead of going to the far past like the Wild West, I went for something more nostalgic. I'll go through the creation process for each section chronologically. So let's start with the start area, where there is nothing to talk about, other than this image. Why is it so low quality? I took it with the in-game photo tool. Yeah. Don't worry, there are still screenshots. Moving on to the first section, window hopping. There's no actual name, I just calling it that. You're probably wondering how I got the window images into LVP. I mainly took a screenshot of it using snipping tools, Window Snippet, a Windows Vista virtual machine, transferred it to RPCS3's photos folder, and then imported using the image tool. It was like that for most windows except for two, being snipping tool and the shutdown dialog when you alt F for the desktop, that being instead done with Windows 11 snipping tool. Most of the windows were taken from Windows Vista except for Hypercam and Live Messenger, taken from a Windows 7 VM, which I use for some of my BitV videos, which is basically my secret side channel. Windows Live Messenger is an even more special case since it was shut down in 2013. That's actually AeroChat, a custom Discord client made to mimic the design of Live Messenger. Oh, I almost forgot. Since there is no anti-gravity tweaker in LVP1, all the free-floating windows are attached to the bottom with invisible rods made possible from Good Creator Pack 1. I wanted to make the Minesweeper section a main set piece of the level, so I made a whole time-lapse to show you how I made it, so instead I'll yap over that. I actually forgot to start recording until after making the window, but you can expect what I did from before. So I started making the Windows Live Messenger guy. There's not much to this, so I'll just let it play out until the next part. Next I did the top of the window where I can't exit. I also added guard railing since I wanted all of the mines to be on the board and to prevent an easy way out as well. Time for the mines. I had to search for an image of the Minesweeper mine, which had a transparent background. I ended up finding one, but it was a WebEP file. We all know that pain. So I had to convert it. Originally I went to Cloud Convert, but for some reason I already went past 10 daily conversions, so I had to move to Free Convert, which was always my backup site. Then I imported using the image import tool. I started placing the sticker on a wooden cardboard circle, and I had to manually chisel the shape. You kids are so spoiled with the sticker cutter and template. That was a terrible man voice. First using the material cut, and then finishing off with the corner edit tool. I also ended up changing the material of the board to be more metallic, like it is in the game. Now I added the explosives to the mine, activated by a play sensor. I then stuck it to the mine and captured it, only for it to capture the whole level and I had to try again. I instead sent it to the front layer so it wouldn't stick to the board. It was also quite difficult to have the explosives in the middle of the mine. So yeah, I placed a couple of them, about 8 of them, later increasing to 10 after the recording to not make it too easy. I also placed a checkpoint window and made a double instead of a single. I also had to use a player sensor since it would not be easy to activate it by normal means. Next I placed the jetpack window. The footage speaks for itself. Also placed the camera zone to zoom out, but I couldn't zoom out all the way, so I had to place an arrow sticker to point to the exit. I had to fiddle around with the tether link to not allow cheating, but allow to exit the board. Finally I considered changing material of the board, but immediately changed it back. The MS Paint section won't take as much time to go over since it's the same import screenshot type thing. I used the circle shape's benefit of free draw-like smearing to show like it's drawn with a mouse, at the expense where some platforms look a little odd. Another quirk is that the platforms are only 1 layer thick and are at the back layer, so you can use the jump down if you feel like speed running. My original plan for getting the web pages was to try to load them in Internet Explorer 7 and try to get a full screenshot of that. I was aware of its incompatibilities, so I went to the Wayback Machine in Windows 11 and copied down the URLs for the websites. But even then, it still refused to load. I instead had to use Supermium, which is an up-to-date Chromium-based browser for Windows XP and onward. Now in hindsight, I could have accessed the old websites via the old net, but I think that was being rate limited by the Internet Archive at that time. For PlayStation and Newgrounds, I was first unsure how to do the platforms, but I decided to be more creative. PlayStation's Vapor Trail was made out of old glass, and the Newgrounds got a custom ad. The YouTube upload page was also done a little differently, as the top part remained and anything under it was overlaid with Bitview's basic uploader. Final thing, for the upload page, I wanted at some point to use a sticker sensor with a cursor sticker, but I ended up sticking with a button for this. And with that, we've reached the end of the level, so now I will go over some bonus secrets and trivia. Let's start off with a simple one. You might spot these MS Paint windows as background, but do you recognize them? If you don't, they are actually drawn after certain platforms in the level. Barely anyone noticed this, except for this guy. Props to you. I even recorded a time-lapse of drawing these, which I'll leave in the background as I yap. The overview of the level in LBP's website says it makes great use of the image import tool, and I very much relied on it, importing just under 30 images. Without it, pulling this level off would have been much, much harder. All programs have been screenshotted and imported, except for 2, Media Player and Photo Viewer. I wanted to have these 2 as fully customized because I wanted them to fit a lot more into the Arrow aesthetic. Plus, as a bonus, I would be able to stick on various photos I took during my time on Beacon, like this one in Bora Bora Island Sports, or at least one of its uploads. You might be wondering how I got the image for the album art for the music for the media player. Well, I didn't have to import any image at all. I instead used the sticker and decoration edit tool on the music object, which by the way works for every music object, even in later games. I didn't scrap much from the final level, but I do have some scrap dialogue as halfway through I decided to have the placeholder story I thought up of on signing up to be in the final. So here is the before and after. In the Minesweeper section, if you are sneaky and try to fly under the Games Explorer window, you'll encounter a familiar face that mocks you for trying to skip Minesweeper. But did you know that itself is a reference to another level I published on Beacon? Specifically in the level Epic Jump, where if you're curious to see what's past the scoreboard, that same face wonders why are you here. Clippy also made a brief appearance in this level, but he was not originally meant to be there. I added him mostly because the Clippy movement started around that time and as a sign of respect. He also ended up becoming the Ace Prize. Finally, just a small one, there is no vanilla sticker that looks similar to the window controls at the top right corner, and had to use arrows. Luckily there was a cross sticker, and it was glassy too. but the arrows could count as a reference to Windows 2 and Windows 3 window controls being arrows. And that's everything I have. Honestly, I'm just happy to leave something memorable for this year's Reconnected, and to talk about why I made the design choices I have. So go and play it on Beacon and Bonsai, links in the description, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.